be back with you once again on Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com, and we are coming to you today as Sri Lanka closes in on a test tour of Pakistan. Now, this hasn't happened for a very long time. Let's not forget, Sri Lanka went and played a one-day and a T20 series, but no test cricket. The last time it was in 2009. Jehan Mubarak with me. Hello, Jehan. Thank you for joining us. Well, we're going to discuss a lot of things, and the first amongst many is the Sri Lankan test squad. We've seen a very interesting test squad announced by Sri Lanka, and I must say that this looks a pretty strong test side. Lots of experience, 2 test matches, but the thing about this test side, Jehan, is I don't think there are any side games. So you just go in, you play the 2 test matches and come back. So if you don't play, you don't play, right? So, I mean, We've broken it down to batsmen, spinners and seamers. I like to sort of dwell a little bit with it on Jehan. And one change is that Kasun Rajitha comes into the side. And also, if you look at the options, let's start off with the openers. Now, Dimuth Karunaratne is there. He is obviously the opener, captain. Whom do you think would partner him? There are 3 options as far as I'm concerned. Lahiru Thirimana, Oshada Fernando, I think are the hottest of the 2 options. Not sure whether Kusal Perera, though he's an opener, would be considered at test level. So, shall we start there? What are your thoughts?
I think we also need to, they'll need to decide who's going to keep wickets. Is it Dikwella, Kusal Perera, or maybe Dinesh Chandimal?
So, all right. Shall we re-look at the question? Shall we first look at the combination?
Yeah.
What do you think the combination would be? Would they, obviously 4 bowlers. Sri Lanka will go with 4 bowlers. I can't see them going with 5. But would it be 3 plus 1 or 2 plus 2?
I would play the 2 spinners, and we've got 2 top spinners.
Even at Rawalpindi?
Even at Rawalpindi. Because it depends on whether we've, you have a look at the wicket and see whether there's grass on it. But in Lasith Ambuldenia and Dilrwan Pereira, we have 2 top spinners, unless Dhananjay De Silva plays as a genuine all-rounder.
Yeah, just a thought. Now, if you look at that Pakistan side, they are packed with extra space. Now, what would that mean? Hard green tracks with bounce and the leg spinner looking to exploit?
Possibly.
So then what's the point in playing 2 spinners?
Yeah. If Dhananjay De Silva is there, then the question is, then you leave Dilrwan Pereira out, who's been
Dilrwan Pereira out.
Because others you're going to play 1 off spinner and no left arm spinners.
That's a big call.
I'm talking about the balance of the team. You have to have a left arm spinner. Otherwise, we have Dhananjay De Silva and Dilrwan Pereira and 3 fast bowlers.
Wouldn't Dhananjay be a spare?
But still, you have 2 off spinners. You don't have, and Pakistan are packed with right-handers. And you need a left arm spinner. So that's why I think the left arm spinner has to play.
So 2 fast bowlers, 2 spinners is where you will go with. So Suranga Lakmal has to be one.
Yeah.
Who would be the second?
Either Lahiru Kumara or Vishwa Fernando. One of the 2.
What would be your pick?
In Pakistan, I would go for swing. So I would go with Vishwa because he bowls generally a fuller length. But again, if there is something in it, Lahiru Kumara can trouble the batsman because Suranga Lakmal is also a bit of a swing bowler. Yeah. Lahiru Kumara can, but that all depends on the pitch.
Right. So we've got 4. We've got the last 4. We've got the top 1. So we've made 5. We've nailed 5 down. Tell us the next 6.
The key one for me is the wicket keeper because the wicket keeper will then determine your batting order.
Right.
And it's unlikely that your wicket keeper is going to open. So if Kusal Perera is going to keep, it's very unlikely that he is going to open.
But wouldn't you go with a specialist keeper here? Now, which one would you pick out of the 3? Dinesh Chandimal, Kusal Perera or Dikwella? Which is the pecking order in terms of wicket keeping?
They've all taken the gloves. They've all kept in test matches as specialist wicket keepers. So I don't think there's much of a difference between the 2. Glove work wise, I suppose Dikwella is slightly ahead of in that lot. So, but in Dikwella coming in the middle, I'm not. Kusal Perera offers an extra dimension to the game.
So would you bet him at 7?
At 7, and either get him or Chandimal to keep.
Right. Well, if he's batting at 7, there is no reason for Chandimal to keep. Yeah. So Chandimal would be batting up the order.
Depending on who's keeping better.
Right. So, tell me your side.
So in that scenario, with Kusal Perera coming in the middle and Chandimal also in the top order, Oshada to open with Dimuth
Right.
And then you have
Mendes at 3.
Mendes at 3, Chandimal at 4 or 5, depending on what
Angelo
the
and Chandimal would bat at 4 or
Yeah,
5. So
it
that's
doesn't really
that's virtually, so we've got the top 5 according to Jehan. That is, we got Dimut, the captain. We got Oshada, because he thinks he's the right man, being a right-hander, and he thinks that. Kusal Mendes at 3, Chandimal, Matthews 4 or 5. So we've got 5 of the top 6. We got to pick the wicket keeper. We got to pick number 6 because we've already picked the last 4. So now the last 2 names, that is 6 and 7. Where would you money?
Number 6, Dhananjay De Silva, and number 7 is Kusal Pereira, the wicket keeper, or the queller.
That's a very interesting call, because Dhananjay De Silva now relegated to number 6, formerly used to be at number 3. So he's been a little bit unfortunate, hasn't Jehan? Been moved around a bit, so hasn't really had that solid, permanent place that a batsman would want. But still, doesn't matter. Number 6 is quite decent if he's going to be the all-rounder. So that's the 11 Jehan Mubarak thinks. And I think that's a fairly decent 11 because it has plenty of experience, it has the ability, and it has a good record. But one thing now is, when you look at this fast bowling makeup, is Nuwan Pradeep now a permanent white ball exponent, or is it just a temporary thing?
It's part of it is due to injuries. It's difficult for maybe Nuwan to manage the workload of playing test series, back-to-back test matches and one days. In one days you can control the number of overs you can bowl in a spell. It's generally 3-4 overs, but in test cricket you might be required to bowl 6, 7, 8 overs at a stretch. So maybe to manage that workload, they're probably looking at him in the shorter version.
So interesting, very interesting test series. I think it's going to be really tight. Pakistan has just lost quite, I would say, it's been a humiliating defeat as far as they're concerned. It's been Yasir Shah who propped them up in that second test match with 100. Otherwise, they would have been humiliated, lost that first test badly. Sri Lanka, on the other hand, going in rather fresh. New faces, Matthews is back, Chandimal back. They must be quite hungry. And Dimut Karunaratne once again back in the side after missing that one-day tour. So lots to play for as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, and let's hope that it will be a tight series. Don't forget, it's the Test Championship.
Yes.
120 points at stake. So Sri Lanka has a great chance of going ahead. Right, let's now move on. The Sri Lanka Cricket Awards. Were you there?
No.
Why? Why not?
This is only for players, current players.
What do you mean? Why weren't you part of the audience?
No, it's anyway. I wasn't invited, but this is for guys who are currently involved in cricket: coaches, players, administrators.
You're a coach as well.
At school level, school cricket awards, I was there.
Right. Anyway, just to take you through the awards: Test batsman was Dimut Karunaratne, Test bowler Dilruwan Pereira, the all-rounder Dhananjay De Silva, ODI batsman Kusal Pereira, ODI bowler Lasith Malinga, all-rounder Thisara Pereira. That's nice. T20 batsman Thisara Pereira. That's interesting. T20 bowler Lasith Malinga, T20 all-rounder Isuru Udana, and the emerging cricketer Pathum Nissanka. What are your thoughts on this? And I know the name Pathum Nissanka keeps coming up. Whilst I think Pathum Nissanka would have struggled in this test side, but he needs to be nurtured. But overall, is this a fair reflection of where Sri Lanka cricket is, these awards, the players who have won it?
I think it's a fair reflection.
Thisara Pereira being there?
The T20 batsman.
Not figuring,
yeah, so
and
that's
he being the T20 batsman on the
yeah, so I mean, this is all probably based on stats. And stats, especially in T20 cricket, don't give you the complete picture. You could have good averages, stats, runs, and still end up in losing teams. So, and it's a safe way of when you give out awards, even in school cricket, when you decide who the best batsman is, best bowler is, the safe way is to go by stats, because then nobody can argue with it.
It doesn't tell you a story though.
It doesn't tell you the story.
The full story.
The full story. And what I would like to see is like an MVP kind of award. So the value of the player, especially a low order batsman who gets you over the line, scores 30, 40 runs, saves 10, 20 runs on the field, they are completely missed out, and their value to the team is immense.
I know T20 cricket is so different today. I mean, someone coming in at number 8 or 9 and facing 5 balls and scoring 20 could be a clincher compared to someone who scored more. I mean, as you correctly said, that's how the game has evolved. Anyway, that's as far as the Sri Lanka Cricket Awards were concerned. Glittering ceremony, and congratulations to all of them, not just the winners of the international segment, but also the domestic segment where some big names received some awards as individual awards, that is. Now, what's wrong with the Sri Lanka under-19 tour? 7 guys not given their visas by the US Embassy. I mean, how could this happen? Because this is a national team. That's number one. And number two is, my question is, what took the authorities so long to apply for visa, as now they don't have a fallback? So what would be the outcome here, Jehan? Because see, the World Cup's happening. The 2020 World Cup happens in South Africa. So every day of cricket, every hour of cricket is so important for these young sides. So talk me through this.
Yeah, and this is the last tour before the World Cup, and they would have, Hashan Tilakaratne would have planned this as a lead up to the World Cup. To the previous games he would have used as trial and error to see who is when. This is the tour that he was going to play his fixed 11, his best 11, and go with that. So that preparation would have got derailed a bit. But again, the question, I believe, why travel through the US? There are direct flights to Antigua from UK. What I heard was that it's cheaper to fly through the US, and there's actually an overnight in the US, and which is why the flights were cheaper. But then the visa issue comes up. Usually you don't have a visa issue because you've traveled directly to the West Indies. And
so this is transit, right? So transit, you need a transit visa.
But they've got, I believe they've got an overnight in the US. So it's an admin thing. It's a scheduling. It could have been done earlier. It could have been done better. But it just makes it a bit uncomfortable.
Sad. But having said that, you know what surprises me? It's a national squad. I mean, it's not an individual application for a visa or a transit. It's a national team. So what does this mean? How could, with all due respect, how could a visa officer, I mean, I'm just arguing a point. I know you can't answer this, but this is just a point I'm making. How could a visa officer possibly evaluate an under-19 cricketer and about his intentions when he's representing his country, and it is a transit?
I think our track record in that sense is not great. Sri Lankans, Sri Lanka in general. So when a embassy
but cricket has never been the case, Jehan.
I don't think the US or the visa officer would look at it cricket specific. They would look at it Sri Lanka specific and see Sri Lankan sports teams in the past. Have there been instances?
Has it ever happened in the US?
In other countries,
I don't
perhaps.
think it has
Maybe
ever
not in the US.
I mean, I can't remember anything happening in the recent past. Maybe there would have been the odd case, but this is an eye-opener. It surprises, and it is something that all the admin staff needs to take a close look. They cannot take any chances, and as you said, this should have been looked at more closely. Well, if it's an overnight stay, how could you avoid it? And for a few dollars more or few dollars less, is this the price the Sri Lanka under-19 has to pay? Well, that's the question I want to leave with you. I'm sure that's your thought as well. Anyway, let's move on. I mean, we can't dwell too much about it, but the IPL auction looking different. I mean, more Sri Lankans, 39 Sri Lankans registered. Angelo Matthews with a base price of 2 Indian crores. Are you thinking you should have been playing now? So much of money, Jehan. What are you doing here? You should be donning your, colored clothing and going out there and playing.
No, but then I would miss this conversation that we have here.
We can always have a conversation. Surely, which one would you like? 2 crores or a conversation?
Time with you, a cup of tea with you, Roshan.
That's lovely. That's so kind of you. Anyway, what do you reckon? I mean, isn't this a good sign to have so many Sri Lankans back in the T20 makeup? Because there was a time that most teams or most leagues really didn't take the Sri Lankan seriously.
Yeah, I hope a lot of them do get picked up by the team. It doesn't matter for how much. But from a cricketing point of view, because we don't have our own league cricket, T20 league, the experience that they get by playing in these leagues, and especially in the IPL, will be immense.
Correct.
Will be immense.
Correct. And I read an interesting story today about the conditions of the newly formed BPL, where the Bangladesh Cricket Board is insisting that there are no franchises, by the way. There are teams all owned by Bangladesh Cricket Board, and 4 teams have been sponsored. 2 are still owned by the Bangladesh Cricket Board. But what they are saying is they're insisting on having a fast bowler over 140 Ks in those teams, at least one, and a leg spinner, and a foreign coach. they're insisting on that in the 6 teams. So you could see that there is a master plan, there is a forward-thinking process in the Bangladesh league, which is very good, and I hope the Sri Lankans will take a leaf out of that. But anyway, just talking about these leagues now, had you ever heard about this Qatar T10 league? I didn't even know that there was a Qatar T10 league happening, because Ajantha Mendis, Malinda Pushpakumar, Ramit Ramukwala and Kitruan Vitanage, these 4 cricketers, ex and some of them present, are being picked up. Did you know anything about this?
No, I didn't. But there are lots of cricket leagues that are happening all over the world. And part of it is the availability of players, because there's so much cricket happening.
What about the heat they play?
They probably play day-night. They probably play in the night.
Still, it's quite warm. Day-night games. I mean, I remember test matches in Abu Dhabi where you played day-night games. It's still quite warm. So it's tough. But anyway, good for these guys, particularly Malinda Pushpakumar. Kitruan Vidanage, I mean, I thought he's kind of vanished from the scene, but he reappears. Ajantha Mendis, he's now into coaching. Big time. I think he's got a contract in England to go and coach in a league. And Ramit Ramukwala as well. Hasn't he retired, Ramit?
No, he's come back. I saw him playing a mercantile game for MS yesterday. Right. So, yeah, good for all of them.
Good on him. Good on them. Good on them. It's really great to see all these guys being picked up, contributing, enjoying themselves. And the good thing is they are still connected to cricket. Right. Now, before I go, I must remind you that we keep throwing up so much of information, and it's not easy for you to just remember them off the cuff. So make sure that you subscribe to ThePapare.com. Now, before we go, we have this thing about asking you a question. Now, last week we asked you a question about the runs, that the highest or the most number of runs in a Sri Lanka-Pakistan series. We'll tell you who the winner is in a moment. But the question this week is, name the player who has taken the most wickets in Sri Lanka-Pakistan Test matches. Could be a Sri Lankan, could be a Pakistani. Anyway, last week we wanted the player who scored the most runs in Sri Lanka-Pakistan Test matches, and it was no surprise to read the name of Kumar Sangakkara. 2,911 runs at 74.6. And by the way, didn't you get your best score against Pakistan in Test Cricket, or did you make your debut against Pakistan?
No, debut was against Bangladesh at SSC.
What about the 2004 tour?
No, I played just one test match on that.
In Karachi.
Yes, in Karachi, yes.
Bowled by Khanavia.
Yes.
Still remember, fell to that old trap, driving through extra cover and ball coming back. Right. Look at my memory.
See, this is why I prefer this to the IPL.
Right, okay, good. But sorry, I had to go back to a place that you wouldn't like to. But anyway, we enjoy a great relationship. Jehan wouldn't mind that. So anyway, Kumar Sangakkara, 2,911 runs at 74.6. And the winner, congratulations, Amindu Senaratne. So that's a story on Around the Wickets. Thank you for joining us. I'm not sure whether I'll be seeing you in the near future. So much of things to do, but I'm sure Jehan Mubarak will be around. So continue to enjoy whatever the information, the nuggets that he throws at you. So if I don't see you again, let me wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy 2020.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the bell icon for our latest content.